Welcome students to 7th lesson Energy Flow in an Ecosystem. In this lesson we are going to learn food chain and food web, the energy pyramid and biogeochemical cycle. We are going to learn 3 cycles: carbon cycle, oxygen cycle and nitrogen cycle. Let's recall. What is meant by an ecosystem? A community or a group of living organisms that live in and interact with each other in a specific environment is nothing but an ecosystem. Which are the different types of ecosystems? First, terrestrial ecosystem. Terrestrial ecosystems exist on land. They include tropical rainforest, deserts, temperate grasslands, deciduous forest, tundras, and coniferous forest. These terrestrial ecosystems are characterized by the average rainfall, average temperature, and total land area. In total, terrestrial ecosystems occupy approximately 28% of the Earth's surface. Tropical rainforests produce 45% of the Earth's organic chemical energy, making them the largest elementary producers. Second, aquatic ecosystem. Aquatic ecosystems are ecosystems present in a body of water. These can be further divided into freshwater ecosystem and marine ecosystem. The freshwater ecosystem is an aquatic ecosystem that includes lakes, ponds, rivers, streams, and wetlands. These have no salt content in contrast with the marine ecosystem. Marine ecosystem. The marine ecosystem includes seas and oceans. These have a large salt content and greater biodiversity in comparison to the freshwater ecosystem. How do interactions take place between biotic and abiotic factors of an ecosystem? An ecosystem is a complex network of interactions between biotic and abiotic components of a particular location. Living organisms such as birds, animals, plants, and microorganisms form the biotic component, while land, air, and water form the abiotic components. Biotic and abiotic components interact with each other, resulting in transfer and replenishment of energy and nutrients. Solar energy is the main source of energy for all living organisms. Let's learn now energy flow in an ecosystem. All living things require energy in order to stay alive. The energy flow is the amount of energy that moves along the food chain. The energy flow in the ecosystem is important to maintain an ecological balance. Let us study about various trophic levels of the ecosystem around us. Level 1, primary producers. The examples include plants and an algae. They use photosynthesis to maintain their own food. Level 2, primary consumers. They eat producers. They are classified as herbivores as they eat only plants. Level 3 is made up of secondary consumers. They are classified as carnivores or omnivores. They eat level 2, that is, primary consumers. At level 4 are tertiary consumers. They eat the carnivores. And finally, level 5 are called apex. They are at the top of the food chain. Food chain and food web. Food chain is a linear sequence of organisms which starts from producer and ends with decomposer. Food web is a connection of multiple food chains. Food chain follows a single path, whereas food web follows multiple paths. From the food chain, we get to know how organisms are connected with each other. Food chain and food web form an integral part of this ecosystem. Let us take a look at the food chain and the food web and the difference between them. Food chain. A food chain is an order that shows the flow of energy from one organism to the other. It shows a single pathway from the producers to the consumers and how energy flows in this pathway. Let us take an example of food chain in a terrestrial ecosystem. The sun is the source of energy, which is the initial energy source. This is used by the producers or plants to create their own food through photosynthesis and grow. As the energy grows one level up, the food chain also moves up. Food web. Many interconnected food chains make up a food web. Sometimes a single organism gets eaten by many predators, or it eats many other organisms. This is where a food web comes into place. It shows the interaction between different organisms in an ecosystem. Now, let us take a look at the energy pyramid. An energy pyramid, sometimes called a trophic pyramid or an ecological pyramid, is a graphical representation showing the flow of energy at each trophic level in an ecosystem. The width of each bar represents the unit of energy available within each trophic level. The height is always the same. The flow of energy moves through the layers of the energy pyramid from the bottom up and is gradually reduced as energy is used up by the organisms at each level. The base of energy pyramid indicates the energy available within primary producers, known as autotrophs, organisms which create their own food. In most cases, these are photosynthesizing plants which use energy from the sun to create their own nutrition. Although there are exceptions such as deep sea organisms which use chemical energy from hydrothermal vents. All other levels in the energy pyramid consist of heterotrophs, organisms that obtain their nutrition from organic carbon, usually in the form of other plants and animals. The second trophic level consists of primary consumers. These are the herbivores that feed solely on primary producers. The third and fourth levels are made up of secondary consumers and tertiary consumers respectively. These are carnivores and omnivores. which can feed on any of the lower levels, although mainly consume organisms from the tropic level directly beneath them. The top level of energy pyramid contains apex predators. These are mostly carnivorous animals that have no natural predators. The pyramid shape is used to represent the flow of energy because of the way that energy is used up and lost throughout the system. The primary producers take in energy from the sun. However, only around 1% of the total energy available from sun is actually absorbed into the plants. At each of the subsequent tropic levels, the same amount of energy is lost as heat, while 10% is turned into available biomatter. By the time the energy reaches the top tropic level, the apex predators will only receive 0.01% of the primary energy because there is so little energy available at the highest tropic level. Throughout the entire energy pyramid, decomposers break down the tissues and other organic matter which has not been consumed by animals higher in the food chain. In doing so, these organisms recycle the nutrients back into the soil, playing a vitally important role in the carbon and nitrogen cycles.